From ABC, choosing to adopt pets over children is selfish and takes away our humanity, Pope Francis says. Pope Francis has criticized couples who choose to have pets instead of children as selfish, arguing that their decision to forego parenthood leads to a loss of humanity and is a detriment to civilization. We see that people do not want to have children, or just one and no more, and many, many couples do not have children because they do not want to, or they just have one. But they have 2 dogs, 2 cats. Yes, dogs and cats take the place of children, the Pope said. Yes, it's funny, I understand, but it is the reality, and this denial of fatherhood or motherhood diminishes us. It takes away our humanity, and in this way, civilization becomes aged and without humanity because it loses the richness of fatherhood and motherhood, and our homeland suffers as it does not have children. Remember when this guy was lauded as the new hip progressive pope? Yeah, that shit is completely out the window now. Well, it's been out the window for years now, but this just further proves that what everyone thought about this pope initially was complete bullshit. I do not understand how not having children, or stopping at one child, or having pets in place of children, or having more pets than you do children, takes away your humanity. It makes zero sense to me. This story especially pisses me off because I'm an only child, and we have 4 cats in the house. And to me and my family, those cats are like our children, especially Charlie in my case. Charlie has been extremely close to me and was extremely close to my grandmother. He used to spend all the time in my grandmother's room, but ever since my grandmother's death, he started to become really attached to me, and he's like my baby. He does not want to be away from me. Hell, he's sitting right next to me right now as I record this. He sleeps with me during the night. Caring for Charlie feels like I'm caring for a child, and I don't feel like any humanity is lost just because Charlie is not a human. I still have that empathy and care for another living being that I am taking care of. As you all probably know, I have zero desire to have children. One of my most popular videos is literally about this, but despite that, I feel like one not wanting to have children is none of anyone else's fucking business. We are now in the year 2022. You would think by this point all of this stupid moral obligation to have children would be long gone by now, because society for the most part has progressed past these stupid fucking regressive values. It is ultimately up to choice. If one chooses to not create a child, then tough shit. There is likely nothing, absolutely nothing you can say to that person that would convince them otherwise. Having a child is a huge life-altering decision that not everyone is up to task for, and the more people realizing that they're not fit to raise a child, and thus choosing not to have any children, the better. I don't want to drastically change my life just to appease your backwards, outdated, and quite frankly, stupid values. And it is people saying stupid shit like this that is the reason why so many children have awful upbringings, because their parents were told from a very young age, you have to have children, you have to have children, make me a grandparent. When you meet that special someone, you gotta have children with them. It is because of these things that so many people are told from a very young age that they have a child, that they realize they didn't even want, they made out of obligation more than anything, and so that child may have an upbringing filled with abuse. And this is why I think we should normalize telling people they do not have to have children. Having a child is not only a huge life-altering event, but it is also a massive financial responsibility, especially if you have more than one child, because there are plenty of couples out there who may only have one child because that is all they could afford to raise. Sorry to put a damper on your worldview, Pope Francis, but the rest of us live in reality, and it's getting more and more expensive to live in it, so why place a huge financial burden on yourself when you could barely afford to sustain yourself, or barely afford to sustain yourself and your one child? There are a myriad of different reasons why people choose to not have a child, or more than one child, and shaming them for their decision will change jack fucking shit. In fact, I would go the extra mile and say that their decision is a responsible one, because they realize that they're not fit to raise a child, or maybe they are fit to raise a child, but they just can't afford to have a child, or a second child. So why should that person worsen their quality of life just to appease you? They are involved in the creation of that child. You are not. So shut your mouth. And while I'm not going to say that raising pets is cheap, it's certainly not, but it's a hell of a lot more cheap than raising a child. And honestly, cats are just so much better than children, especially babies. Oh, Jesus Christ. At least cats are independent, they know where to shit and piss, and they're not always whining and crying. Oh, God, those are some of the worst sounds in the world. So with all that said, if you, the viewer, choose not to have a child, that is a perfectly valid decision, and you're probably making the right decision. Don't let fucking ghouls like this guy try to shame you into thinking otherwise. It is your life. You call the shots, and if people have an issue with it, well then tough shit. I have to take shit from my mom all the time, every time I tell her I do not want to have children. And you know what? Hearing her complaining is far more preferable than making a huge life-altering decision that may change my life for the worse. My body, my choice. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.